Photoshop offers a great tool for converting images from color to black and white. Let's open up an image. We're going to go back to our Chapter 3 folder, and this time we're going to open up the file labeled BW, short for black and white. Now with this image on screen, what I'm going to do is select the Fit to Screen view. The shortcut for that is Control-0 on the PC, Command-0 on the Mac, to get it just a little bit bigger on our screen. And the tool we're going to use for this conversion is named, appropriately enough, black and white. It's located in the Image menu, under Adjustments, and we'll simply scroll down and select black and white. As soon as this dialog box opens, it gives you a default black and white conversion. I'll toggle the preview off. Here's our color information, and here's the default conversion. There's also an auto button that you can choose. If you're not happy with the default, you can see if the auto gets you to a better starting point. But for now, we can just go back to default because we're going to do all of this manually. Now in other tools that we looked at, we had an on-image adjustment tool that we had to click and select. Here in black and white, it's turned on and activated by default. So all we have to do is move our mouse over the image. I'm going to move it here over this area of the chair, and if I simply click and hold down the mouse, you can see the icon turning into the hand with left and right arrows. More importantly, in the black and white dialog box, you can see that the yellow value is highlighted. If I click and drag to the left, you can see those numbers go down, and the yellow parts of this image are getting darker. If I click and drag to the right, the yellow parts are getting brighter. Why yellow? Well, because I clicked on an item in the image that was yellow. Yellow was the underlying color information. So just because Photoshop gives you a black and white preview of the image doesn't mean it forgets the colors that were in this image. That's the beauty of the black and white tool. It lets you make image adjustments based on the underlying color information. If I go here and click on this chair, you can see that that's going to select blues primarily. So I'm going to slide this to the left to darken that blue value. Maybe I'll brighten it up a little bit. I changed my mind. I'll go a little bit brighter there. I'll select on this chair, and let's see what color is underneath there. That's red. What happens if we drag to the left? We're making those much, much darker. Notice that the yellow chair and the blue chair have been left alone. The table was also red, so that's getting darker. Let's go back here and find another color. In this foliage, let's click here and see if we can find a green color. We have green here, so we're simply going to click and let's lighten this up a bit. So we're going to open up those greens in there. And so with just a few clicks of the mouse, you can see that we can drastically alter the contrast in this image simply by changing tones based on their underlying color information. Let's go back for a minute, toggle the preview off. Here's the color information that we started, so you can see the individual discrete colors we have in the image of reds, blues, yellows, and greens, and now we've adjusted the brightness of all those values. Now there's another thing we can do with the black and white tool, is we can tint the image. Once we're happy with this black and white conversion, we can go down and click on this tint box, and let's see how this works. We've got hue and saturation. The important thing when you work is to boost your saturation up. It has to be very high so you can see the changes that you're making in hue. We're ultimately going to come down from this, so don't worry about your colors looking exactly right. Here the saturation is very high, but that's just so we can find a nice hue. If we wanted to get a nice sort of sepia print, we'll come over here. That's a little bit too much red. We'll add a little yellow in there, something about like that. Now to make it look real, we will bring the saturation down, way down, and if we come down here just to about 7%, you can see we've got a nice sepia toned image. If we wanted a cooler image, we can take this hue and drag it over towards the blue end, get a much cooler rendering of the image, something about like that. If that looks a little bit too strong, a little bit too cold for you, we can take the saturation slider and bring that down even further, down to about 3%, so we just have a slightly cool image. So within one dialog box, we can take the image from color to black and white and even perform a tint.